Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Alckemy. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's a little bit more philosophical in a means of community building and also as a means of developing a critical ear for other people's music that you can hopefully apply to your own. I will say that if you're not really about community building or you're not about this learning process, then this might not be the video for you. But what I wanted to do is one, provide an immediate resource for people that are looking for feedback on their tracks, which I invite you to my Discord. It's in the link tree in the description. B, I wanted to talk about how to actually give feedback and how to listen critically in order for you to give quality, thoughts that you will be able to take into and apply to your own music if you do it, uh, if you put some effort into the thinking of it. So I don't actually do feedback streams anymore. I'm not trying to advertise anything, but what I do now is I have a members only area where I have members feedback. And what I do is you send me a song and I leave you a voice note that's got all the thoughts in it that I could possibly think of. Cora was the last person to do this. Shout out to Cora. I left a 2-minute thing on direct feedback. So that's if you want it from me. The reason why I don't do feedback streams anymore is because I have this really awesome thing that's going on with the critique and request. The other thing is that within all this stuff, I take a lot of creative thoughts, a lot of stuff that's a matter of man, it takes a lot out of me, and so doing it for 2 hours is just too much. So when you are giving feedback, it helps a lot to not do things like fix your snare, add more stuff, that kind of stuff is not really helpful. That's something that somebody can actually develop or figure out on their own. You know what I mean? And plus it's kind of backhanded advice of oh, your snare sucks. It's really, what I would hope if I were the person that was asking for feedback is for one to consider what the direction of the tune is, and two, if I'm stuck on something, what are some possibilities or what are some thoughts that I've never considered? I think that a lot of people are looking for mixed feedback, and I actually think that you should avoid that until your song is completely done. And don't send in a song that's already done asking for feedback. And the reason why I say that is because once it's done, you're not going to edit it. Most people that ask me for feedback when they send me relatively finished tunes, they don't change anything, and I get copyright flagged. So I don't do streams like that anymore because, you know what I mean? What's the point? When you send in something for feedback, it helps a lot if you have something that is an idea, but you're not really sure what to do with it, because there's so much more space for elaboration that somebody can give you the most out of. Now, when you're giving feedback, think about the direction that this person is going. Think about the intention that they're going into, and also think about the core composition about what somebody already has. So if someone's trying to do too much, it's too busy or whatever, or they have this one sound that's not really working, maybe instead of be yo, take this out, do this, things that are direct, having open-ended advice is what's going to help them make the decision for themselves. Because remember, it's their song, it's not your song. And so with that, if I were to play any of these guys' songs, I'm not going to, just because they might end up releasing it or whatever, but I want to try to focus on asking them more questions more than giving them more answers. And I think that if you do that, then you're open to having a discussion about what someone wants, and sometimes they end up finding the answer for themselves. I think this is just general advice as opposed to feedback in itself, but when you say something back to somebody and you make them reflect, it helps them be maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do that, maybe I could go in this direction, I could go in this direction. And when you inquire about that, then you both get something out of it, because you start to both put a vision to a fragment of the piece of the puzzle, and you're what if it went this way, what if it went this way? That being said, I think that when you are asking for feedback, it's really important that you are specific with what it is that you're trying to get out of what you're submitting. I know that some people are hey, I want, mixed feedback and all that other stuff. And I do think that there needs to be a time and place for that. Please don't ask me for mixed feedback. My mixes are not something that I am boisterous about. At the same time, if I'm hey, I'm having a hard time blending these two sections, or hey, I'm really stuck on what to do next, for one, go watch the last video that I just posted. But two, talking with this to somebody and asking these questions that people can give you those open-ended answers to are oftentimes going to lead you down to the answers that you need. And also, like, this is just etiquette, but like if you ask someone for feedback, please don't argue with them. I've plenty of people have done that to me, and I'm like, yo, what the hell is the point of you even asking if you're going to argue with what I have to say? So within that, getting down and dirty in here is one of the best ways that you can utilize building that sense of community, and also getting a feel for having different ears, different audience for how to finish your tracks. I do think that feedback can be incredibly helpful. These days, I don't really send my tracks out much for asking for help. A lot of times I look internally for what to do. But coming up in all of the 10, 11 years that I've been producing, I've had stuff like this, or I've sent my tunes out to, feedback streams and stuff. But generally speaking, I guess for me, and I'm not criticizing anyone specifically, but rather trying to establish a standard about being more creative with giving people input on how you're trying to help them out. It doesn't make sense, or maybe it doesn't make sense. It makes sense to me, but the more that you invest in giving curated thoughts to someone else's work, the more that you can potentially extract and apply to your own stuff. Maybe somebody did something compositionally really cool where they had this, like cool rhythmic section or rhythmic fill. Maybe somebody did a really cool bass that you're really interested in. People ask me about that all the time. Those are the kinds of things that open up a conversation. And remember, that is the bigger picture about having critique and request, or, feedback exchange, is having a conversation, actually having an aspect of the community. But rather than being like, what can the community do for me? I would consider, what can you start doing for the community that you're going to be able to help people give quality, advice, if that's what you're doing. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, advice is advice, but I don't know, if somebody is like, if I ask someone to listen to my stuff and all they say is fix your snare or cool track, like, I feel like my time is wasted. Because for me personally, I'm not trying to just play my stuff out to have an audience. I'm trying to be like, yo, I'm actually stuck on something. If you, the person, just want to share your tunes, and just have an audience to listen to, then I think that you should set something up to where you're just like, yo, let's hop on a Discord call and let's just share whips and talk about it. There's multiple ways that you can set it up, but from a learning experience or something that's actually with a goal in mind, you kind of want to stay focused on that and not really like tarnish the other people or the other people's experiences to where you're just trying to get your stuff played, but there's other people that are in the queue or whatever that are like, hey, I need help on this. You know what I mean? It's a different thing. So I don't know. I don't like to be like, yo, you need to do it this way and you need to do it this way. But I will say that part of the reason why I don't do feedback streams anymore is because I've been known to spend like 10, 15 minutes on talking about someone's track. And imagine doing that, for 20 people in a day, and then doing that on a normal basis. Like, my creative capacity tends to diminish quite a bit. That being said, again, if you want a place to give and receive feedback and use this as a means of cultivation, community building, and practice, I invite you to come into my Discord. And with this, my asking, or like my rules, I guess, with this is give someone else feedback, try to give them something that's going to be creative, and then post your own whip and wait for other people to, give you stuff. And so far, it's been a really excellent system that I think that a lot of people are getting benefit from, because to be honest, this particular channel in my Discord is actually the most active. So with that being said, those are my thoughts. Nothing too crazy on this matter, but I do think that this can be extremely helpful for you if you take advantage of it and if you contribute. That only takes time, only takes time and a little bit of thought. And also, it's really nice to, think about someone else's work as opposed to being like, I'm only in my own head of whatever it is that I have going on. You have your own set of bias, but when you really try to look at someone else's perspective and look at what they're doing, like I said, man, there's a lot to gain from that. So anyways, join the Discord if you want to support the channel. Check out alchemy.com, or consider becoming an Ether member, because that's what I offer this service to. And again, I don't think that I'm too good to give people feedback for free. I just don't have the time. And I want to make sure that that it's worth it, and that the people that I do give feedback to is going to be really thoughtful. So if you want my opinion on stuff, then that's how you can get access to that. Anyways, take care, enjoy yourselves, and let's build the community together.